Hey, in today's video, I want to talk about why software development is actually pretty hard. So if you have been following my channel, you might have seen in the past a video where I was talking that product management is not that hard. And today I want to take maybe a different approach and talk about why actually product management and product development for that matter. And actually it's really hard when you think about all the components that you had to pay attention to in order to be successful. So I want to go on through some of them to see which ones are the different areas that you had to do or you had to pay attention to, and potentially how you can try to maybe minimize the hard work that you had to do. So the first one, as you probably can imagine, when you have a product, one of the hardest things is that you had to find product market fit. If you have a product and you have a successful business, most likely you could say that you have achieved product market fit. But if you are creating a new product and you're in new product development, finding product market fit is one of the most complex things. And finding product market fit, you can find a ton of information about how to do this. I probably have a video about it. I will link it up there. But in a nutshell, what you want to do, or what you have to do, is that you have to identify a problem out there that enough people has this problem. So like enough market base or like a total addressable market is reasonable and is good, or enough to drive a profitable business. Build a solution that actually helps the customer solve that problem in the way that they would like to solve it, and at the same time building a profitable business. And I'm not thinking here about non-profit cases. If you're in non-profit, that might be a different story, but most of us probably are working in some kind of business that is looking for some kind of profit. And even if you're a startup, you probably will be looking for a profit in the long term. The second part that is difficult about product development is that, okay, you have a product, you might be having the right product market fit. People still have to find you. Promoting your product might be really challenging because you have to know your customers, you have to know your user personas, you have to know where they are, and you have to know which channels they use and how you are going to talk to them. Selling a product like, I don't know, some kind of soda, and where to promote that type of product is very different from selling a software product. The channels that people are going to be using usually are going to be very different. Although there are some channels like social media where people tend to be. Finding the right sales approach is very critical to have a successful product development. Because even if you had, again, the perfect product, if you are not selling it in the right channel, if you are not selling it to the people where they expect it, then you might be having a problem. And you might be selling your product in the wrong place. So for example, many people nowadays are used to subscription models. Not everybody is going to like it, that's also true. But many people are expecting that they don't have to be updating their product all the time. This is something that you have to understand from your user base, because in some cases, this is going to be a must, that they don't have to update to the latest version. But in some other situations, funnily enough, it's going to be the opposite. Many companies, especially in business, are not going to want a change in the product during the duration of a project. They might want that the product stays the same, and they will only update to the latest version once the project is finished. This is very common in business-to-business situations or B2B situations. They might be working in a project for months or even a couple of years, and during that project, because they have everything set up, they don't want updates in the product, because updates in the product many times means that all the customizations that they have built, all the automations they have built, had to be rebuilt, had to be made sure that they are working and that they are compatible with everything that they have been building previously. So something to understand: how do you distribute your product? And also, where are you distributing your product? How are you selling it? Are you selling licenses? Are you selling subscriptions? Again, I got a little bit caught up in another thought, but I was talking about having subscription business model or having a licensing model. So finding your right sales approach, finding your right placement of your product is going to be very key for you to be successful. Then you want to have the correct or the right user experience. You don't have to have always the best ever user experience. Of course, you should somehow try to get there, but the reality is that in not all the cases you're gonna need it. In many cases, in business-to-business situations, many companies don't prioritize usability. They don't purchase products because of the user experience. You can see this, for example, and I'm not trying to say that Microsoft has the worst user experience. I think that they have gone way better than they used to be. But you could argue that Microsoft Teams, doesn't have a very great user experience when you compare it to something like Slack. But there's a very good reason why companies purchase Microsoft or use Microsoft Teams instead of Slack. Because Microsoft is just giving them a package, a suite of products for office workers. And that means that you have things from Word to PowerPoint to MS Teams to Excel to whatnot. Quite many of these different services or products they provide. You don't have to think about having to have different tools to be used or purchased separately and see how they integrate. Is it true that all the integrations between those tools or in the suite of Microsoft work perfectly? Not always. Sometimes they actually might even work better with tools that are from outside that ecosystem. But the reality is, when you think about big corporations with big purchasing departments, they might want to just streamline, and they don't want to actually have to think about these details and just want to purchase a solution that solves everything. So in that case, user experience is not a priority because they are not selling to the users. They are selling to the decision makers. They are selling to a C-level person, CIO, for example, somebody that is going to make the decision of the different products that they have internally in the company. And that person is going to say that, well, no, we are going to use this one for all of our, office-related work. That's the solution that we need. And something that is so often overlooked in product development is how you're going to onboard your customers, how you are going to help them use your products, how you are going to share information, help them when they have a problem, what kind of documentation you have, what kind of support channels you have, how do you have people available to answer questions? Do you have something like a chatbot or a knowledge base or something or somewhere where they are going to be able to find a answer, build a community? All these things is something that might be overlooked and something that is critical for the success of the product. Again, if you're thinking about B2C, many times your best way to find answers is Google, because you will learn from other users, sometimes more than you will learn from the tool providers. And when you're, or product providers, and when you're thinking about business to business situations, something that is gonna be very critical, especially the bigger the deals that you're having, is that you have to have a good support channel. If you don't have a successful support, no matter how good your product is developed, no matter how well it's solving the problems, you are not going to be successful. So I have gone now through some of the most critical things or more difficult things to actually have a successful product development. But the reality is that you don't have to be successful in all of them, and you will have to think about what are your strategic areas of this product development. You might be focusing on product excellence. You have the right product and it's so different from anybody else that it doesn't matter if your promotion is not that great, or if your sales or your way of delivering is not that great. Your customers might not have another alternative and they still had to purchase your product. You might focus on excellent support and excellent user experience and then leverage the others. Your solution might not be the best in the market, but your services are so good and the experience and the usability is so easy that you might gain a very big chunk of the market because of that. So think about what are going to be the areas where you want to be excellent and which are the areas that you are just going to be leveraging and you are not maybe necessarily going to have a huge edge against competition of other products. So if you do this, you will find out that you can pick maybe 2 or 3 of these areas and really focus on delivering the best that you can. That usually is going to give you an edge against your competition. And this is what you have to identify, and you have to understand very well what is the competitor landscape and how can you differentiate yourself from the others. I cannot give you or tell you which one is the best because it will depend a ton, depending on the market that you are, depending on the type of products that you're building, your competitors, how they are doing business, how they are doing all these different activities of product development. If you want to know more about the product development process and how it is typically done in software companies, go check out this video. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one. And remember, stay safe.